Revenge is ruining my relationship with love for stories. It's a toxic relationship, really. I mean, she leads me on, she beats on me, but I tell myself that it's out of love because she cares so much. A part of me still loves her, and oftentimes, I can look past a lot of the bullshit. Deep down, she has some qualities that are quite beautiful. But then she begins to open her mouth. It's the same old story over and over. She won't change. There's only so many times I could keep hearing the same old tired story. Yet, I still go out with her, knowing damn well I could never fully commit to her. She will never change. Alright, what the hell am I talking about? At the time of me making this video, I had just finished up Ghost of Yotei. Without the internet in my ear bitching and telling me to hate it, and how it doesn't hold a candle to Ghost of Tsushima, I enjoyed Yotei. Now that might confuse some given the title of the video. I mean, how can a person who is tired of seeing a revenge story still find some enjoyment out of Ghost of Yotei? I'll be honest, it's a bit complicated. When I learned about what the story of Yotei was gonna be about, I shook my head and sighed. Not because of the thought of the protagonist being a woman, or because she wasn't sexy enough, but because I knew that I was gonna purchase the game anyway given how much I enjoyed Tsushima. So I trusted Sucker Punch to deliver, and for the most part they did. Now, I'm saying this in spite of Yotei being another revenge story that I had to sit through and digest, and after that ending, which was a bit bitter, I couldn't stop thinking about why I hate these sorts of revenge stories, which ultimately led me to making this video. So, let's get into it.
Zeus, your son has returned! I bring the destruction of Olympus!
What is my issue with revenge stories? The outcomes of these stories are always the same. The person seeking revenge is either successful by the end of the story, or they fall short. In the process of getting revenge, or falling short of it, they lose more in the process along their path, and end up feeling a void. Of course, there are tropes in every type of story, but with revenge stories specifically, there is always the same themes and messages. There's nothing clever or interesting to explore. It usually ends with the character realizing that it's not worth it, being blinded by it can cause even more harm, enacting your revenge makes you no better than the person who wronged you, and how you won't feel any better after getting your revenge. There's really only so many ways you can cook some damn broccoli. In the end, these sorts of stories can always come off as pretty preachy. And I'll be honest, maybe this is just a me thing, but when I'm delving into some media, I don't need to feel like I'm being preached to. I believe that those deeper things that can be extracted from a revenge story can probably be better translated and received outside of it. When I think of a revenge story in its purest form, I think of Kill Bill. And Kill Bill isn't trying to be anything more than what it presents itself to be. You can watch it and enjoy it for what it is, wanting to see the horrible and irredeemable filth and trash get what's coming to them. But now I'm just chatting. Ghost of Yotei really got me thinking about the revenge shit, and as tired as I am of these sorts of stories, I can still find something to appreciate about them. Sometimes. My favorite game franchise is God of War. Those early games before Kratos hopped his ass into the Norse realm, he was fully locked in on his revenge path. Kratos would get his revenge on Ares by killing him, but it didn't mean anything because Kratos wasn't freed from his nightmares. And then we got Zeus, his father, who betrayed him, and then Kratos would once again get his revenge, but at the cost of leaving everything around him in ruins. No peace, only destruction. Now, the reason I can't completely shit all over this is because Kratos gave the people hope, and he also tried to take his own life at the end. I will take that over a story where the person doesn't accomplish what they had originally set out to do, and just wasted their time. Yeah, I'm speaking about you, The Last of Us 2. This is what I think of when I picture the worst sort of revenge stories. Ellie getting revenge for Joel isn't achieved. Yeah, she might kill most of the squad, along with a ton of no-name faces, but she doesn't take out Abby, the ringleader of Joel's death. At the end, all she gets is the loss of her girlfriend because Ellie was so focused on revenge, some missing fingers, and is still left feeling empty inside. With Joel out of the picture, Abby was my favorite character in The Last of Us 2. And you know what? Despite liking Abby, I still can't justify making this game. This game right here is the quintessential example of a pointless revenge plot. And this wouldn't have bothered me so much if the story of the first game wasn't so good. So to go from that to this is just not it. Seriously, imagine if Kratos had gone through all of the bullshit that he had endured in the second and third God of War game, then he'd finally gotten to Zeus and was like, you know what? After slaughtering hundreds of these minions and murdering all of these gods before me, I no longer want revenge. That shit would piss me off. You want to go through all of the trouble, literally crawling your way out of hell and be like, this revenge shit just ain't for me. Yo, every story that does this, oh my god. Not everything needs a sequel, man. Going back to Ghost of Yotei, everything in between the revenge quest is pretty nice. It was easy to be invested in Atsu's character, despite her story being a revenge one. In typical revenge-like fashion, she has a traumatic event happen to her that she's unable to move on from. However, she isn't like Kratos where she has revenge on the forefront of her mind every second that she's on screen. Yes, that's the main thing that drives her, but that isn't all that she is. Which is another reason why I gave this game a bit more grace than I typically would. Some characters that are on the revenge journey make getting revenge their whole personality. I understand that being a main component to them, but when there's no layers besides that, it gets real boring. Maybe it's just me, but in these sorts of stories, if family and friends or allies have a good amount of focus on them, I'm automatically going to assume that at least one of them are going to die. After all, even a revenge story needs to have some stakes. Or maybe they don't. It's not like it's a written rule or anything. Because, let's be real, the only stakes that's gonna be in these sorts of stories is losing someone else that's close to them. And that's why Junbei dying didn't catch me off guard. I felt like Uyuki being the one to die would have made more sense. Her helping the twins bring down Saito, and just living long enough to see Saito die, in my opinion, would have been a better ending. She would have been able to make right by the twins to help avenge their parents, and Kiko would still have a father. You can telegraph from early on that one of them were gonna die. That's another thing. Unless there's some kind of twist, these stories are some of the easiest things to predict. This should be obvious and should go without saying, but the only parts that can truly be creative are the parts in between, with the character, dynamics, and emotions, which is why I still end up enjoying this game. Now, yeah, there are typical story beats that address that there is more to live for than getting revenge, especially afterwards. While this isn't groundbreaking storytelling in any way, I do appreciate when it's done because it works well, and it gives the character something else to think about and work towards. Oh man, sometimes it feels like this is the bare minimum thing that they could do in these sorts of stories, but I'll give it a pass. The only show that I can recall right now that I've watched and was absolutely fine with the revenge story was the first season of Vinland Saga. The main reason that I think it works so well is because the entire anime isn't about the protagonist getting revenge. In fact, that piece of story is put on the back burner as there are more interesting and bigger things happening around them. Thorfinn wanting to get revenge for his father's death was the weakest part of Season 1, and I'm saying that with Vinland Saga being in my top 3 animes of all time. On paper, Thorfinn was the main character, but real ones know that Askeladd is the true protagonist after those first couple of episodes. The plotline of Thorfinn getting his revenge is handled pretty well for me. Thorfinn wasted his childhood following after the man who killed his father, only to end up not being the one to take his life, having that robbed from him. It was all well done, and you know why it was well done? Because when the story progressed and resumed its focus back on Thorfinn, it progressed beyond a revenge story with the same old tired revenge is bad lesson. I know this is an aimless rant, which I tend to do a lot of the times, I'm sorry, I can't help it. But my point is, revenge works best when it's not the focal point of a story. It works far better as a side dish, which apparently is best served cold. So to sum up this entire unnecessary video, revenge as the main plot, boring and ass. But revenge as a subplot, it could be quite serviceable. Also, if you're gonna make a revenge story, don't waste our time with not having the protagonist go through with getting their revenge. For the love of God, please stop it. There is no interesting angle left to take there. Please, I beg of you. I beg of the universe. Stop it.